Hi, my name is Matt Walsh. I'm the founder and CEO of Splish Naturals. I recently attended Karl Dakin's Motivated Money Bootcamp. As my company begins to launch its crowdfunding campaign for upwards of $3.5 million, I can't say enough about the class, what I learned, and how much I recommend it to any business looking to raise capital.
Have you ever wondered what it takes to successfully raise money? I have worked with hundreds of capital campaigns across dozens of industries, and I'm here to share with you proven methods for raising money in record time and at the lowest cost, while also obtaining capital at the lowest price. My name is Karl Dakin, and welcome to Motivated Money. Hello, this is Karl Dakin, and welcome to this episode of the Motivated Money Podcast. Today, we are going to talk about crafting an offering. And this podcast is all about raising capital, and it presents my approach to raising capital, which I call the Motivated Money approach, where we focus upon those investor candidates who are most motivated, most inclined to make their assets available to you to start and grow your business because they're acting in their own self-interest. Now, in the Motivated Money approach, stakeholders include those individuals, businesses, and organizations who may attain a benefit from the success of your organization without making an investment. For this reason, when they do invest, they will get two things of value. They'll get the return on that investment, and they will get the benefit. And this combination serves as a reason for them to make an investment when nobody else may do so. And as we are dealing with the current recession, which is expected to increase in magnitude and severity through 2023, we may find that people who invest only based upon a return may not be interested enough to make that investment. They may choose to sit out the chaos, wait till the market stabilizes before coming back into the market and making investments. But those people who are investing based upon their strategic needs, what they're trying to achieve within their own organizations, will continue to make investments to the extent that they're able throughout the recession, and therefore may be the only proven or readily available group of investor candidates that are available to pitch your company to them in order to get the capital resources you need. So today we're going to talk about crafting an offer, and we will do that with both a slideshow that will help tell this story. And for those of you who are listening and not watching this particular podcast, I will do my best to try to convey everything we're talking about so that you can follow this. But in the crafting of an offer, the first thing that we need to understand is what is an offer. And an offer is a proposal by you to an investor candidate. And in this proposal, you are stating that you will give them something in exchange for getting something back. And this is considered to be a fair exchange, one where both sides will be winners in a win-win scenario. And the value of what you give up and what you get back is presumed pretty much to be the same. So visually here in this picture, I show somebody exchanging dollars for euros. And this is a very simple type of exchange. And there are markets which set the value of this exchange so that everyone is fairly well aware of the value of what one person is giving up and what the other person is getting. And this is what you would typically see anytime you buy a product or a service, but it also applies when you're trying to raise capital. So we need to understand at the very beginning that an offer is intended to be this exchange of values. But what are you offering? What are you trying to give up to the investor candidate? And most commonly, the offer will be something that you are going to do in the future. You are trying to get in capital today, but what you're going to give up in exchange for that capital commonly will be something you're going to do somewhere down the road. This may be a payment of interest. This may be a sharing of profits. It may be a sharing of revenue, but there is a clear delta or difference between when you get the capital today from the investment and when you are going to perform whatever your commitment is within your offer. It will occur sometime in the future. And this delta or difference in time creates a sense of risk that the investor candidate must take into consideration and is a key component in crafting of your offering. So in a common investment, what you will offer to an investor candidate is a return on their investment. Very simple example would be if someone gives you $100 today, you're going to give them back $100 and more in the future. And this difference in value between what you give up today and what you give up that is greater amount or greater value in the future represents the price of money or the price of capital. And so what you give up in the future may take the form of interest on a loan or promissory note. If they give you $100 today and you pay back $110 at the end of 1 year, then you are paying $10 of interest. That interest represents a percentage of the amount of money you received, and the rate of return would be commonly considered to be 10% or 10% per year. And that also represents the price of money. Now, if instead of interest, you promise to give them a percentage of your future profits, and this commitment takes the form of giving them a share or ownership interest in your company, then you will have to wait and determine how successful your organization was during this time frame. And then you will determine if you did make a profit. And if you did make a profit, you will allocate a percentage or share of those profits to your investor candidate based upon how many shares of stock or units of membership interest that they may have in their company. And this is a very common way of structuring an investment. And the ultimate price of capital that you are paying for this money, if they give you $100 and it turns out their share of profits is $50 because you made a tremendous amount of profits and they own a substantial share of your company, then you're paying $50 on $100. That rate of return would be 50% per year, and that would also represent the price you have paid for that capital. And obviously, a 50% rate of return, that money is becoming expensive, far more than what you might have to pay if you're borrowing money from a bank or from some other source. But the reason why you're paying the 50% is because the risk is so high that you may not earn a profit. You may not pay any profits back to the investor. You have to pay a higher price for that. Similarly, instead of a share of profits, you may have a share of revenue, and that share of revenue is based upon your sales rather than your profits. And this is a model commonly used, particularly with early stage or fast growing or companies that fit in both categories, because of the fact that during the early life of a company, there may be little or no profits. All the money that's being earned is being invested back into the company rather than being distributed to investors. And therefore, some investor candidates who are looking for regular cash flow back from their investments will ask for a share of the sales proceeds, which comes off the top line, rather than a share of profits, which comes off the bottom line. to make up their particular return. Now, this is a very common way of doing things, and it is included in almost any type of offer that exists. But we're going to talk about some additional things that you can put into your offer that will make it more attractive. So in the motivated money approach, as I described earlier, is that a stakeholder is someone who may realize or attain benefits from the success of your organization without ever making an investment. And these benefits may be monetary or non-monetary. We've talked about this in other episodes of this Motivated Money podcast, where we get into more depth about what constitutes a benefit and how is it earned or received or realized. And as we look at this and understanding that we may be able to create this benefit for one of our investor candidates, then we want to structure an offer that includes not only a return on the investment, a common style of return, but we also want to do something that includes this benefit. And even though the benefit will occur naturally, there are things that we can do to amplify or heighten or customize this benefit to make it of even greater value to the investor candidate. And therefore, what we are doing is we're focusing not on ourselves. We're not simply talking about ourselves to investor candidates. This gives us the opportunity to make our pitch and craft our pitch to include this offer that says, what can we do for you? How can the success of our organization contribute to the success of you and your organization? And it changes the tonality, it changes the psychology of who you talk to, what you say when you make your pitch, how you communicate yourself to an investor candidate, and it greatly, greatly increases the interest of the investor candidate, because we are talking about the investor candidate and we're talking about them and about helping them. And that is also important to making this pitch something that's attractive and something that they may listen to, understand, and decide to make that particular investment. Now, the benefits are all outcomes from the success of your organization. So again, like a return, they're based in the future. We may find, as an example, I was talking with a company last week, and we were talking about a potential investment of $500,000 to $1 million into this company from different investor candidates. And when we talked about raising this $1 million from an average or common investor, an angel investor or private equity fund, the only thing we could offer to them was the return on investment, a share of future profits. And not that share of future profits was inconsequential or had no value, but that was all we could offer. And because of that, these investor candidates looked at this company, considered where it was at, how young it was, its stage of maturity, and asked themselves the question, what's the likelihood that this young company will grow so fast, so strongly, that it's going to generate the kind of profits that are needed in order for their share of those profits to hit their investor criteria. And by and large, these individuals were thinking this is, it could happen, but it seems like it's so unlikely that it'll occur in this time frame that they did not find the offer attractive simply based upon a return. But then when we reframe this to include the benefits, and benefits means that this company would buy product and from certain suppliers and vendors, that particular stakeholder, a supplier or vendor to this company, would be able to make more sales. And these sales would occur with profits associated with that. And if they invest in this company, the profits from selling to this business and the return is greater. But on the other side of the supply chain, on the reseller of these particular products, we identified a couple large major retailers who, if they sell the common amount of product we would expect through each of their retail outlets, this company may make millions of dollars in profits from reselling the product. So now we have a different situation. We have an outcome where an investor not only gets a return, which is a share of profits from an ownership position in the company, but we add to that all the profits they may earn as a reseller of this particular product to their own customers. And this combination then becomes far more attractive because the amount of money they could make in the term of benefits far exceeded any return that could be paid on the investment itself. And this is what the motivated money approach tries to do, is try to identify these stakeholders, these people who stand to gain more from the benefits than they do from the return. And when they understand this combination of how these two can work together, and the making of the investment increases the outcome in the form of the benefit or improves the likelihood of that outcome, the entire nature of a conversation with an investor candidate changes along with it to the positive. So an offer may also include rewards. And a reward is a product or service that you may sell that you bundle along with the return on investment. You bundle it along with the benefits that an organization may attain from your success. But now you're going to throw in some of your products or services. And what you're doing is sweetening the deal. You're increasing the value. And a reward is, however, going to be limited to either an end customer who's going to consume that product or service, or it may be a reseller of the product or service who sees this as another way of essentially buying those products or services at a lower price. Now, in this reward, you may also consider discounts. A VIP customer discount card. It could be just a lower price below the stated wholesale price list. It could be a preferred or best customer type of price list. But these discounts have a value, meaning that when a person buys the product and they don't have to pay as much for it, they're saving money. And if they're a reseller, it's increasing their profit margin. Every dollar of a discount to a reseller is one more dollar on their bottom line. And so it's a very hefty incentive to get somebody to invest. And so what we're looking at then is that in putting together your offer, it may include a return on investment. It may include benefits that occur naturally from the success of your organization, but preferably you're going to take those benefits, you're going to custom fit them and amplify them so that the investor candidate is getting the biggest bang for the buck out of their investment. And you may also include rewards, which are actual products or services that you sell, or discounts from your existing pricing on those products or services. And this combination of return plus benefits plus rewards allows you to consider making any number of different offers to different investor candidates and to custom craft those so that they fit that particular investor candidate very well. And it creates this sense of working together and exchanging value in a strategic, positive relationship, which is often missing when we talk about common investing approaches. I've worked with hundreds of different businesses in my career in their capital campaigns, and I have seen pitches to hundreds, if not thousands, of different angel investors, private equity funds, family offices, managed money, institutional money, and quite often these offers are turned down. The company who is seeking to raise capital simply cannot give up all of its profits. It cannot give up all of its revenue. It cannot pay interest in excess of 100% without putting itself at risk or giving up all the profits that it might earn to that investor and leaving little or nothing for the founders and the people who have put the company together. And so there is this high rejection rate. Statistically, we will see that angel investors will invest in less than 2% of the offers that they see. And this is not necessarily because it's a bad offer or it's a bad company, a high risk type of situation, but more because of the fact that there is a limit to how much a common return on investment offer may present to an investor candidate. There just are limits on that. But when we change our offer, when we recraft it to include benefits, and we focus our offers on stakeholders who will realize these benefits, then we have a larger pool of value to work with in framing our offer. We will again find that certain stakeholders will have greater benefits than other ones. And there may be stakeholders in a particular group, such as a supplier group, who may still make a substantial benefit, but their benefits may be and commonly will be lower than those of a reseller of a product because there's a higher markup that's occurring as this product goes through different stages, as it gains value and as it is ultimately presented to the market at retail. And so as a consequence of that, what we're seeing is that the benefits allows us to communicate to an investor candidate this greater value. And so when you ask for capital, whether it's in the form of money or whether it's in some other form of capital, such as people or equipment, facilities, networks and contacts, intellectual property, that's, you're saying, give me this, but what are you going to give up in return? And what you're giving up in return has to be attractive enough for a person to invest, to feel comfortable with the fact that some or all of what they may get is going to happen in the future, and there's no certainty that you will be able to perform to the expectations that or to your own projections. And so you're trying to overcome all this fear of what if it doesn't happen? What if this goes wrong? What if? And those investor candidates legitimately are going to test you. They're going to review your organization. They're going to complete their due diligence review. And they're going to ask themselves this question: do I really believe that this group, this offer is going to be realized? It's going to be something that's going to be achieved and attained? Or do I think it's still unlikely? I don't want to make this investment. And even if they do get comfortable with you, they think that what you're proposing is a realistic projection, that it is likely to occur, you have to remember that they also have the ability to invest in anyone else who is out there in the marketplace. And that means that any other business or organization that comes to them and says, hey, I'm going to offer you a return, and my return is going to be equal to the return of that other competing business. And now, essentially, there's an auction going on where you're saying, I can only offer so much if I'm going to have anything left over for myself. And this other business is saying, well, I can offer you more. I think I can make a greater profit. And if they can offer that greater return, then the investor may choose that business over yours. Or they may choose it for reasons that are difficult, if impossible to understand. That may be a time of day, maybe where they're at, maybe because they knew somebody that was on the company's leadership team. There can be all kinds of reasons why an investor who's looking simply at return may choose one over another, and you can't do much about that, other than what we do here in the motivated money approach, which is when we talk about adding in benefits and focusing only on those investor candidates who will realize that benefit from your success. Now, the new thing that we are now including in an offer is the possibility of building in rewards. Now, rewards won't work, as I said, for everybody. A reward is something that is pretty much limited to your customers, and a customer is defined here either as a direct end user customer who can use and consume that product and get a benefit from the use of the product, or it's going to be somebody who's going to buy the product from you and resell it to someone else, to an end customer, and they're making money on the markup from what they pay you for that product to what price point that they put on it to sell to the end customer. Now, in that case, if you give product away for free, then it's not technically free, but we call it for free. It's included in your package, and that's reducing the price they would otherwise pay for those products or services, and that means that it's a better deal for them. And this is something that we commonly do in crowdfunding, where we have smaller businesses with greater risk, and it may be difficult or impossible to generate any significant profitability from the operation of business. Most businesses don't make that much profit, and you cannot allocate that much to an investor and still have money for yourself. So one of your options here as you're crafting your offering is to say, well, I have profits in my products. If I commonly sell my product for $10 and I have a 40% margin, making $4 on every $10 that I sell, I can give up part of that profit in the form of free product or discounts on those products. I can add that into my offer and make it more attractive. I can actually achieve what we call a super deal, one that's kind of a no-brainer, where everybody looks at it and they go, why, this is something I was inclined to do anyway, but now you've made the deal so sweet, so great, that there's no way I'm going to turn it down. And this then becomes part of your offer. So leaving you here today as you're listening to this podcast, kind of a homework assignment for those of you who are thinking about raising capital is consider what can you put into an offer that becomes so attractive to an investor candidate they just can't say no. And this offer aimed at stakeholders will have the highest probability of getting someone to make an investment. But even in that structure, you're saying, what can be included? I have a return. I have certain benefits that the stakeholders are going to get without making the investment, but I can potentially make those better. And maybe I can throw some rewards into this package that makes it that much more attractive. So that's what I'm going to leave you with today. Give some thought to this as you're talking to investor candidates, and particularly if you're getting frustrated talking to common investors with only a return in your offering. Go back and say, what if we did this differently? What if we used the motivated money approach and we use that to get to a point where we have an offer that is just great from the perspective of the investor candidate? So with that, I'm going to thank you all for listening in today to Motivated Money Podcast. This is put on by Entrepreneur Pro, which is a subsidiary of the Capital Innovation and Technology Institute. And also to let you know that I do put on a boot camp for people who want to learn more about the motivated money approach. And the 2023 spring session of the Motivated Money Bootcamp will be coming up in April. And those of you who may be interested may contact me, Karl Dakin, at the Capital Innovation and Technology Institute. And I look forward to talking to you about motivated money and talking to you about your capital campaign. And if you're interested in the boot camp, contact me at kdakin at capitalinnovation.institute. Again, that's K Dakin at capitalinnovation.institute. So that's it for today. Thank you for being with me on this episode of the Motivated Money Podcast, and good luck to you in raising capital. Thank you for listening in to Motivated Money. If you like this or any other episodes, make sure to leave a rating and review of the show. We love to hear your feedback and want to make this the best possible show for you. Also, if you like this episode, make sure you share it with someone you know who is seeking to raise capital. They will appreciate learning what you now know about raising funding. I'll see you on the next episode of Motivated Money.